So we are with Notes on the Way, Collected Works of the Mother, Volume 11. So once again, I must reiterate, people say that when are you going to take up the volumes of the agenda? So frankly, I'm going slow with this. This is the agenda in most of the important things I hear, as far as the Mother's Yoga are concerned. Of course, agenda has a lot of other information, lot of things which are interesting in their own right. But most of the essential things are touched here, taken up here. So, and some of the things are here which are not in the agenda. This also people must know. So, Notes on the Way is a wonderful later part when Mother was sharing some of her experiences. So, there is an experience in 1965, we'll read today, 27th November 1965. So, this is an experience where she is giving a darshan on 24th November. And Sri Aurobindo is here, there, all the time. This reminds me, sometimes people say that we are going to Sri Aurobindo's room, or Mother's room, or during the darshan days, etc. So sometimes I feel like asking, when people say, no, but it's a room, it's the room. So I sometimes feel like asking, how do you know Sri Aurobindo didn't come there? Maybe he came. I mean, it's not that he'll be all the time need to be there, but maybe he came. It's his will, wish, because there are people who have had these experiences and still continue to have. So it's not just a holy tradition of visiting the Mother and Sri Aurobindo's room, but I have come to believe, I have reasons to believe, not intellectually but otherwise, that on darshan days, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother are there. And they are there and they look at us. So the other part that we don't see them, that's irrelevant. How much can we see? Mother seeing Sri Aurobindo on 29th of March is very different from our seeing Sri Aurobindo, because we are born cataract, blind, born blind. So this is the background, and then we'll read this very interesting experience. It starts, of course, with the Mother describing that do not pull. We have spoken about this earlier, that this tendency to pull is an egoistic movement. I think we read this part last time where Mother says, do not pull. Pull the force, pull the light, and most often it is just outright people pull some vital entity or vital energy, or they feel good. Human mind is very creative. It can make you, people who don't know about the human mind, they believe that, okay, they had some visualization. Visualization is all right, nothing wrong with it, but don't give it a very big name that, it came, I had such a wonderful experience and this force came and my cells woke up. All this, we should not, we should be very clear about this. Visualization is helpful, fine, if you want to relax, and it has its own power to bring in little bit of peace and light in the system, but that is very different from the Mother's. First of all, who can pull Mother's force? Only Mother can come if she wills to come. So with this background, we had read this last time, and now we read about this experience. So this is on page 24 of Collected Works of the Mother, Volume 11. And she starts with, Sri Aurobindo was there from the morning till the evening. On 24th November. She's talking of 24th November, though the conversation is on 27th November. For more than an hour, he made me live as in a concrete and living vision of the condition of humanity and of the different strata of humanity in relation to the new or supramental creation. And it was wonderfully clear and concrete and living. So as people were filing past and going, Sri Aurobindo is showing her, and she living those things, what different layers of humanity. There was all the humanity which is no longer altogether animal, which has benefited by mental development, and created a kind of harmony in its life. A harmony vital and artistic, literary, in which the large majority are content to live. And one knows them, artists. It's very interesting that it's very difficult to convert some of these people. I have had meetings with people. There was once upon a time there was a national policy something in which they had called some elite group in which all these musicians and dancers, I don't want to take the names, of world fame from India, they were all there. And I was just watching that they are living in their own world. They are really not interested. And the meeting was supposed to be with in Shiv Bindu's how we can make a national policy in India in Shiv Bindu's light. They had no concern. Some of them came late, they were just busy. Okay, I'm sorry, I had a program, had the lunch and went away, everybody with their fanfare. We should not try even to. They have reached that point where they are very happy and content, satisfied. They are nice people, that's okay. So mother says, they are cultured with refined taste and refined habits. And all this life has a certain beauty where they are at ease. And unless something catastrophic happens to them, they live happy and contented, satisfied with life. These people can be drawn, they can be attracted by the new forces, the new things, the future life. For example, they can become disciples of Sri Aurobindo mentally, intellectually. They can read, they can little bit appreciate, they can admire. But they do not feel at all the need to change materially. And if they were compelled to do so, it would be first of all premature. This is the important part. One should not try to convert others and try to, conversion has no meaning in any case in spiritual sense. It has to be an inner awakening. No sensible spiritual person ever tries to convert somebody else because it has to come in an organic way. You may come from one path to another, but it has to happen organically, naturally, as if in response to an inevitable need of your being, not because somebody is trying to convert you. So she says it would first of all be premature, unjust, and could simply create a great disorder and disturb their life altogether uselessly. So here also she says they can be drawn mentally, but don't let them, because they are not ready, they are very happy and contented in life. It's a higher kind of humanity, not altogether an animal kind. This was very clear. So this is one layer of humanity. Then there were some people used to, once there is a letter of someone wrote to Sri Aurobindo, that it was so strange that when Uday Shankar came, a lot of people were running to, meet him and, what is this? He is asking Sri Aurobindo, what is this? Why in the ashram people are so much, attracted by name and fame? And Sri Aurobindo writes that yes, it's an unfortunate thing. I mean, just because somebody with a name is coming, you are rushing forward to meet. Go to watch the dance if you like. But you don't have to, rush and and then people take great pride, he had come. It's good for that person if he came. What's the big deal? Then there were some rare individuals who were ready to make the necessary effort to prepare for the transformation and to draw the new forces. See, this is what you were discussing, this is the answer to that. So there are people who are mentally ready, they can become intellectual disciples if you like. They admire Sri Aurobindo, they read Sri Aurobindo, engage with him in some way or the other, it's okay. But they don't practice. And the mother says it's because they are not ready. In fact, if they practice, it will create a disorder in their life. Because suddenly you tell them, all this is desire and ambition. Chatkara leke nahi. It's very upsetting because you see, human beings are not ready to give up all these things, no? So suddenly you tell ki look here, you have to get rid of your desire. People want a technique. That they will come. Throng. You'll see thousands of people gathering to learn a technique. They'll pay money, they'll go learn a technique and come back. Somebody was telling me about one of the ashrams, somebody's ashram in Coimbatore, not naming, where film stars go. And who was that film director? I don't remember the name. Yes, Chopra's son, Karan. He has gone, and they were feeling very. The fellow is so restless. Okay, good. He will get probably some peace. But that doesn't mean anything. And they pay a huge amount of money to learn some technique and come back. This spirituality people are happy with. Or they like to go to a pandal and hear some very nice things, which they feel that, okay, they have deposited in their account of good deeds some tinsels. But yoga is different. Yoga is serious business. Yoga is touching fire. Yoga is being ready to be burnt. Yoga is being ready to lose everything for the sake of the one. That's how Sri Aurobindo puts in Savitri, that we lose the one for whom our lives are made. So that's the metal which is required for yoga, for actual yoga. So she says they are ready to draw the new forces to try to adapt matter. So when the new forces come, matter adapts in different ways. And I have a feeling, and it's based on what Mother says elsewhere, many of these things which we call as illnesses are ways that matter is trying to adapt itself. Once he said that, I hear that there are many people in America, children who are going mad. And it is upsetting people. But she says, for the time being it is good. It's because of the action of the new forces. Because the body doesn't know how to handle. See, for body has limited pathways. Still to express our animal responses plus the subjective states to which man experiences. Now you see, what are the states in which tears come down? When you are sad, when you are happy, when you are moved by a deep emotion, when you stand in front of God. So many things, because it's a common pathway. Body has not created very complex networks. And now the brain and body, the nervous system has to adapt to create new pathways, new circuits for this new force. Even at the heart, level of the heart, it cannot adapt, because once there is onrush of Shakti, heart feels afraid. It may just go into palpitation mode because it doesn't know what it is dealing with. So there will be an adaptation, but these people are ready to take the chances, to seek means of expression, etc. So there will be means of expression in painting, drawing, writing, communication, photography, all the kinds of expression, medicine. So they are ready to have new means of expression of the new consciousness. These are ready for the yoga of Sri Aurobindo. They are very few in number. You remember on top floor when we were having with Odisha group and they were speaking about spreading and all that. Yeah, Mother answers it. They are ready for the yoga of Sri Aurobindo. They are very few in number. There are even those who have the sense of sacrifice and are ready for a hard, painful life if that would lead or help towards this future transformation. People don't understand how ashram operates. If you just live here according to how the ashram has been planned, the way of ashram life, if you just live according to that, a lot of things get done and get cleared. Because, see, you get things, it's not that people can't get, but you have things from prosperity, you have within that limit you are going. So this vital restlessness comes down by many degrees. You are not paid money for your work. You don't have a promotion. So basically, if you really live according to that life, many of the things which outside people are unfortunately prone to, because that's the way of life there. You can't avoid parties, you can't avoid, you can avoid, but social gatherings, meetings, parents, friends, relatives, marriages, gone, finished. So this is a very, very family life, children absorbing your whole energy. So just if we look at the way, but it is felt painful. If you look at it outside, from outside, the people who have stayed in very, very difficult small rooms, and they have stayed, and they are very happy. So this is the group of humanity which is ready. But they should not, twice she is saying, they should not in any way try to influence the others and make them share in their own effort. It's okay, sensitizing, that's a different thing altogether. Making certain things clear mentally, but in trying to, oh, you're not doing this, you should do this, this is the way yoga is to be done. Don't get into that. Mother is cautioning us. It would be altogether unfair. Come to ashram, become an ashramite. Arey bhai, I'll only say this much. It's not easy. People often don't realize. If you are already deep into yoga, it doesn't matter. But most people outside are living for some recognition. Here, nobody will recognize you. There was this famous story of our Major General Saab. He had come here and he used to very humorously, when I came, he said, "Dekho mera kya halat ho gaya." You see what I have come to. Humorous man, very nice person. So I said, "Kya ho gaya, sir?" He says, "See, they don't know the difference between Major General and Major. So they feel, most of them, that General is a general category. So they call me Major Saab. So I am demoted now. Major in army is after captain, you are major. Major General is just one rank below Lieutenant General. So he said everybody calls him Major, and they believe that if they add General, that means it's a very general category. And nobody bothers. Nobody cares. You may be somebody, something outside. We have this illusion that we are somebody, something. And you have to only retire to know. The other day we were speaking to that lady, that people who retire from a big post and they go to, say, India International Center or places, they get very annoyed if the Darban, the gatekeeper has not recognized them and saluted them. Here our fellow doesn't even bother. He will suddenly ask you, "Gate pass." You try to tell, "I am a Major General, serving Major General." "Sir, baad mein aana. 8 baje ke baad come out." Now what is this? At one level, yes, you should be courteous, everything, because you represent. But on the other level, from the other point of view, you have come whether you are ready for the path or not. I know a colonel who had retired from army, who had tears in his eyes in your park guest house. Because poor fellow was trying to say, I was colonel, I fought this war. And he was busy there were a lot of people and he was busy with his own work. So, of course, one should never get irritated. But the man on the other side of the desk got irritated. He said, "Please keep quiet for some time. I have to attend to others." And he had tears in my eyes. Next day he told me, "Aapke ashram mein kya hua?" So I said, "You have not read this ghazal of Amir Khusro. Chhap tilak sab chhini mo se naina milai ke." Chhap tilak is your identity. I said, he snatched away your identity. That is the first step to be ready for the spiritual life. Are you ready to lose all? All your identity, all your feeling that I am this, that. How will you discover your true self? So she is saying that if you do that, it would be altogether unfair. She is actually thinking about not only unfair, but extremely maladroit. Something which is not proper at all. For it would change the universal rhythm and movement, or at least the terrestrial movement, and instead of helping, it would create conflicts and end in a chaos. And this is the story of that Nirodha recounts in, I think, not 12 years, it's the other book on the Sweet Mother. So there he speaks about somebody who's one of his friend. He called for darshan. No, you come, because he's close to Sri Aurobindo. We'll see to it. Sri Aurobindo had kept silent when he asked for darshan. And you couldn't have darshan without their permission. You come, I'll take you. So he came to ashram. And then Sri Aurobindo said, it's very unfortunate that he has come. He will suffer a lot. Now you imagine, why should he suffer? We have this. Because now he has to take a leap. He has to pay a tax of night, if you want to call it. And slowly it is taken, and step by then you are ready. And he says, Nirodha writes, and it actually happened. But this fellow also held on. So he would keep sending telegrams to Sri Aurobindo. Lord, need blessings. Lord, I need help. I mean, he used to get caught up by the police. You are not ready at all. And Sri Aurobindo will send his blessing. That is compassion. Because one is not ready. And this is not like, yoga is not like receive blessings of a saint and all your adi vyadi will go away. This is not. That help you can receive as a devotee anywhere. But doing yoga and receiving this kind of help is a very different thing. So that's what the mother is telling us. It will create a gap. Everything is interwoven in a way. But it was so living, so real, that my whole attitude, how to say it, a passive attitude which is not the result of an active will, the whole position taken in the work has changed. So what is this change she is describing? And the effort for transformation, reduced to a small number, becomes a thing much more precious and much more powerful for the realization. So I keep telling this to people that, actually if you really want to do mother's work, don't try to pull people actively. People, and someone said very nicely, we are like jewelers who has got some, nice diamonds given by mother, you are just putting in. But don't try to pull them, no, please buy this, please buy this. He won't be able to afford, and he'll go back. The diamond will haunt him. So don't do that. People will come, whoever mother will call when she has to call. So, particularly this movement in Odisha, people often ask that, there are very few numbers. She's saying that is better. First, let these few cross the boundary. And this he has cautioned in Human Cycle and several places. That if you have every new person who comes adds to the total difficulty. It is as though a choice has been made for those who will be the pioneers of the new creation. And all these ideas of spreading, of preparing, or of churning matter are a childishness. It is human restlessness. So this idea of doing program all through with governor and president, this is not the way that Sri Aurobindo's work is done. It's quiet work. Yes, make known as mother gave this to the society, but don't try to pull, convert, change people. Oh, this is the yoga, ultimate yoga, please come. Ultimate yoga demands an ultimate prize. Inner prize, of course. So she says, the vision was of a beauty so majestic, so calm, so smiling. Oh, it was full, truly full of the divine love. And what is that divine love doing? And not a divine love that pardons. Not that this humanity is not ready. It is not at all that. Not at all. Each thing in its place, realizing its inner rhythm as perfectly as it can. It was a very precious gift. Everything has its own place. Somebody was asking today about Dilip Kumar Roy and that see how he went away and ingratitude. All that is, yes, agreed. But I had a very interesting experience about it. So I also had this, Sri Aurobindo gave him so much love and he turned away. He didn't open to the mother, and he not only turned away, till that is okay, but he actually tried to harm the ashram, damage the ashram. Writing letter to Nehru in 1966 that it's everybody is following a certain, whatever it be. So this was not done. And then he had Hare Krishna Mandir in Pune. So I was posted to Pune. I say, I will not go there. People ask me, I say, I will not go. Somebody who has not, who did this to Sri Aurobindo, I am not going to go. Then I had a letter from Vijay Bhai, Sri Aurobindo Society, that we need these 3 cassettes which are available only in Hare Krishna Mandir. Dilip Kumar Roy's songs. And I said, Abhi, this is mother's work. I have to do it. So I went there. So his Samadhi, Indra Devi's Samadhi is there. I went inside. Again, I saw Sri Aurobindo's picture and some other saint's picture, but not the mother. So again that thought came up. Then I can use the word heard, a sentence like that some of those things which come to you in a flash, in a moment. Who are you to reject someone whom I have accepted? Period. After that, I have heard his bhajans, I remained quiet. I said, Sri Aurobindo and the mother have accepted him. They know. Who are we to? And this resolved many issues, even within the ashram. Who are we to comment? Who are we to, say this is good, this is bad, when they have accepted someone at the end of the story? They know best, and they are the ones who are we in a position even to know what is behind that acceptance, what is behind the resistance, what is behind the ingratitude, what they are doing. We have no idea. So, this is just sharing. So, a divine love which knows everything in its own place. This was needed for him. It was a very precious gift. Well, all these things people know in some part, intellectually like that. And then she speaks about a very spontaneous life which has charm, elegance. And she comes back to, it was a fine humanity. Humanity at its maximum, she is coming back to that humanity which is, refined, artistic. But nice. And perfectly satisfied with its being humanity. Because it lives harmoniously. It has got a harmonious rhythm. Now, she is saying there is a layer of humanity which is obviously completely animal, low, vulgar. She is not talking about that. She is talking about another layer of humanity which has emerged out of that animal kind. More refined. And it is perhaps also like a promise of what almost the whole of humanity will become under the influence of the new creation. So, there will be the new creation, the supramental beings, and there will be, as a link, a humanity which will be refined and fine humanity, because evolutionary link has to be there. Later on in another conversation, she says the rest will collapse because it's not ready, it's refusing to change. But that's mother has to see when. But she says that there is an altogether perverse kind of humanity and a very animal kind. So it appeared to me that it was what the supramental consciousness could make of humanity. There was even a comparison with what humanity has made of the animal species. It is extremely mixed naturally, but things have been perfected, bettered, utilized more completely. Animality under the mind's influence has become another thing. In the same way, there are examples of a harmonious humanity among well-balanced people. Only it is very far away ahead. And then she says something, another very interesting. It is clearly, even now, a period of transition which may last quite long and which is rather painful. So this painful is because as long as you are in that harmonious state, there is no pain. You are happy. You have accepted things in life, including death, and you are a little bit, more philosophical attitude, and you are happy in that state. But if you want to go toward the new creation, then the forces of the old world which you were harmoniously gelling with, they begin to react and revolt. And she gives an example, and we'll take that example a little later. And that creates an immense struggle, which is not there otherwise. So you'll see that, often when you take to this life, a kind of struggle starts, which is not there when you are otherwise leading a happy life at a certain poise, in a certain way. And you are turned, you are reading Mother and Sri Aurobindo, you are, going places. But when you take to this effort, then the struggle starts. That's what she is describing. Only the effort, sometimes painful, often painful, is compensated by a clear vision of the goal to attain. It would have the power to eliminate all error, all deformation, all the ugliness of the mental life. It was very charming. And this brings a great repose. Then the disciple asks a question. That is to say, you concentrate the work instead of diffusing it a little everywhere. So the disciple interprets it like saying only in the ashram. That's how, okay, concentrated means only in the ashram. Don't diffuse it everywhere. Now look at Mother's answer. No, it may be diffused materially because the individuals are not necessarily collected together. So there may be few people in the ashram, few people. That's why she spoke of the inner ashram, the subtle ashram. And there are people who are in the subtle ashram who are not in the outer ashram. And I dare say vice versa. So there are people who are here, somebody may be in Greece, somebody in Spain, somebody in Brazil, somebody in America, someone in Gujarat, somebody in Odisha. So if you join them together, it will make a Mumbai, any place, south. So there are people who are diffused materially, that's not an issue. But they are into the yoga. This is what she is saying. This idea of a pressing need to prepare humanity for the new creation, this impatience has disappeared. So the disciple says, it must first of all be realized in some. Mother says, quite so. I saw that in such a concrete way, apart from those who are fit to prepare the transformation and the supramental realization, and whose number is necessarily very restricted, there must develop more and more in the midst of the ordinary human mass a superior humanity, which is towards the supramental being of the future or in the making, the same attitude as animality, for example, has towards man. So there will be those beings who are emerging out of the human layer and they can sense that this is another layer of humanity. Those who are moving toward the supramental, who are pioneers, who are ready. And they will have an attitude of awe, an attitude of even reverence, just like an animal has towards a human being. They keep a little distance, try to come close, depends upon how you deal with. But of course, these beings who are superior, they will be marked, who are moving toward the supramental life. We are using superior word not in a pejorative sense. They will have a very benevolent attitude towards humanity. That's Mother has explained as early as 1929. That their attitude will be much better than what human beings have towards animals. So they'll be benevolent and very compassionate. But from the side of the human, they will have an attitude of reverence and awe. There must be, besides those who work for the transformation and who are ready for it, a superior humanity, intermediary, which has found in itself or in life this harmony with life, this harmony human, and which has the same feeling of adoration, devotion, faithful consecration to something which seems to it so high that it does not even try to realize it, but worships it and feels the need of its influence, its protection, and the need to live under this influence, to have the delight of being under this protection. And this is what sometimes we cannot understand, why people have this kind of attitudes towards some of those who have gone before us. It's simply because it's very naturally, and Sri Aurobindo describes this in the synthesis, that's very naturally people develop that kind of attitude because they feel the difference and they cannot become that. At this point of time, eventually, yes, they are the ones who are going to move, but they develop this kind of adoration, this kind of feeling of being protected in their presence, this kind of goodness that they feel, devotion, consecration. It was so clear, but not this anguish, these torments of wanting something that escapes you. For example, now she gives the concrete example where the conflict can open up very terribly. For example, one of the very concrete things that brings out the problem humanity has the sexual impulse in a way altogether natural, spontaneous, and I would say legitimate. Mark the words. Even Sri Aurobindo has gone on to say that sex has its own noble side, where there is the giving and not simply grasping, taking, possessing. In evening talk, Sri Aurobindo says. So what about, so people don't understand that when something is said, it's not being said for everybody and alike, and particularly regarding the sexual impulse, its necessity or inevitability is maximum when the yoga begins in the physical. But even otherwise, mastery is required. Obviously, you can't be. But that mastery comes through stages. The mother and Sri Aurobindo understand it. It has its own place in the totality. But the most conscious impulse, as for example, many other things will disappear this impulse will naturally and spontaneously disappear with animality. You can't force do it. And she then describes very interestingly. Many other things will disappear, like need to eat, need to sleep, in the way we sleep now. But the most conscious impulse in a superior humanity, which has continued as a source of, now she's talking about sexuality. It's a superior humanity, but sexuality has continued. And she uses the word bliss is a big word, but joy, delight is certainly the sexual activity, and that will have absolutely no reason for existence in the functions of nature when the need to create in that way will no longer exist. So it drops off, like many things, like non-vegetarianism. Now, drops off doesn't mean I'll keep indulging all my life one day. No, you apply, but you should know that don't get into a very unnatural kind of conflict, which Sri Aurobindo and the mother, that's one reason why they were not keen to bring in very young people, because especially these tendencies are very strong. They drop off as, one progresses on the path, slowly they become weak, and one day it vanishes, and it's like you beat water with a stick, that kind of. And you see through it, and it makes no meaning, it makes no sense. All the joy, not only in the physical and the nervous system, but in the very mind, it is gone, goes away. So, but that's a process. She is describing that. Therefore, the capacity of entering into relation with the joy of life will rise by one step or will be oriented differently. So there will be other kinds of joy that will spontaneously come. But what the ancient spiritual aspirants had sought on principle, sexual negation, is an absurd thing. That's what Mother is saying. Because this must be only for those who have gone beyond this stage and no longer have animality in them. And it must drop off naturally, without effort and without struggle. She is again and again emphasizing this point. To make of it a center of conflict and struggle is ridiculous. 1965. So we can understand, what she means. It is only when the consciousness ceases to be human that it drops off quite naturally. And it's very evident. Everything changes inside. So it's like, but you're not like, oh, this is bad, evil. You feel amused, you laugh, you can even, joke about it without, like Sri Aurobindo joked to Amrita, have you kissed the lady? Oh, sir. It's like it doesn't matter. Completely you are out of it. Otherwise you're trying to, close your eyes, like some people do that kind of stuff. So she's saying you don't have to do this. It is only when the consciousness ceases to be human that it drops off quite naturally. Here also, there is a transition which may be somewhat difficult. There will be steps and stages. For example, the joy may go away from inside, but habitually the physical body continues. The nerves continue to trigger. Then it goes away from the nerve. You feel you have got rid of it, then it comes from the environment again. Then it goes away. Even environment is not able to trigger, but the mind still takes rasa, and from the mind it can come back, and then you realize that there is no joy in it at all. Why at all? But it's just habit. The mind takes the rasa and it comes, and then one day the mind becomes impossible for the mind to indulge or even whatever, think about it, and then it just goes away. So this is the process that it goes. So she says there is transition because the beings of transition are always in an unstable equilibrium. But within oneself there is a kind of flame and a need which makes it not painful. It is not a painful effort, it is something that one can do with a smile. Because you are having that aspiration, you want to go there, So every time, like to use a bit of semi-humorous, in the beginning you fall and then you are in a depressed state, oh my God, I did it again, bit of guilt, bit of sadness, bit of unfitness. Then you fall, but you bounce back after a little time, you recoup. Then you fall and you bounce back immediately. Then you one day stop falling because you have learnt your lesson. You are vigilant, careful, and it goes away. Now, so it's not a pain. But to seek to impose it upon those who are not ready for this transition is absurd. Again, we will understand many things, how the yoga operates. Many people don't understand these subtle nuances of the yoga, if I may say so. So they can't understand. They think that the moment somebody joins the ashram, for example, from that day he becomes a sadhu sannyasi. It's not a sannyas ashram. Every possible aspect of human life, including human relationship, including a man-woman relationship, is being worked out here. And one can go back to stories. There have been people whom the mother literally put two people together. They were not married and she put them together. Take care of him. They're classic examples. But they had to discard that kind of relation. So there is a kind of transition which is going around. And then she says it is common sense. They're human, but they must not pretend that they are not. Pretension is very dangerous because then you harbor all kinds of things and perversions, they come out. It is only when spontaneously the impulse becomes impossible for you, when you feel that it is something painful, is one sign that that joy is mixed with pain. You say, why? And then it begins to drop. And contrary to your deeper need, that it becomes easy. Then, externally you cut these bonds and it is finished. It is one of the most convincing examples. So she has explained, and why, superior humanity don't try to convert, they can't handle this. I've had people writing to me, sir, this is difficult. I mean, yes, of course yoga is difficult. If one takes up yoga, it is difficult. What do you think people are doing? They are just sitting here and meditating. Like monks, grappling with human nature is terrible. As long as you are not grappling with it, you are fine. You are happy. You are holding hands, moving together, enjoying life. It's okay. And you are striving, you are going. It's not like, but launching this struggle inside, one should be careful. Ego, the big serpent, ambition. As I said, nobody bothers, nobody cares who you are or who you have been when you come here. So all these are things which one has to get rid of. And then she says the same with regard to food. It will be the same thing. When animality will drop off, the absolute necessity will also drop off. And there will probably be a transition where one will have less and less purely material food. This is very interesting, she is saying. For example, when you smell flowers, it is nourishing. You will begin to draw nourishment from other ways. It's something which mother describes her own experience, where she could hold a flower or put it on the belly, a fruit or a flower, and she would feel nourished. That's way we have to go. And then she says the human body is not ready. The body is not ready and it tends to deteriorate. So that's why one still needs to take food. Those who have reached the higher regions of intelligence but have not dominated the mental faculties in them have an innocent need that everybody should think like them and be able to understand as they understand. And when they see that others cannot understand, their first reflex is to be horribly shocked. They exclaim, "What an idiot! Why can't he understand? He's staying here, why can't he do it?" Hold on. You get rid of your ego, forget the rest. So she says, but they are not at all idiots. They are different. They are in another domain. You do not go and say to an animal, you are an idiot. You say it is an animal. Well, you say it is a man. It is a man only. There are those who are no longer men and are not yet gods, and they are in a situation rather awkward. So, entire journey she has mapped out. She has given us a whole future blueprint, and if you read through it, you will get the whole process, understand how things happen, understand what happens to even disciples who go through these transitions. And if you have yourself gone through it, so clear, and then all this anguish drops off, and develop a kind of benevolence. That's why Mother says that when you have yourself gone through the difficulty, then you develop a kind of sunny tolerance. Because you know that, it's not an easy task, and you know how many times dhobi pachad has been done to you, and how many times you have been thrown in the mud and you have got up, and finally you are on that spaceship. So you know that. And so you don't develop, this person, the moment one is intolerant about another person's defect, that means that you have really not worked at all on yourself. You have just read the books and that's enough. So this is the great vision, and it is quite evident that with the amplitude and totality of the vision, there comes something which is a compassion that understands. This is what we are speaking about. Anyone who has gone through the yoga to a higher, genuine higher, not looking like a yogi, he develops a great compassion. He knows how difficult the journey is. He knows how grace has held the hand. He knows that if there is a point where your personal effort just fails, that's when the hand of grace comes. So you have to put in the effort. Not that, personal effort ultimately fails, so let me just, not that way. But you have gone through that journey, and you don't tell people enthusiastically, come, come, come. In the beginning you want everybody to come. Then you slowly understand, don't do this. And you also develop compassion for those who are struggling, who are trying. And then you can tell them, don't worry. It will be done. Keep putting your effort. Because you don't condemn anyone, you don't look down upon anyone. You don't condemn, you see what people are doing here, there or anywhere. Because it's a process which is very challenging. So she says, a compassion that understands, not that pity of the superior for the inferior. That if you feel, then you are in the hole, abyss. I pity that person. So you are in a hole of ego. But the moment you have the compassion means you understand the difficulties human beings experience. You don't shun them or run away from them. But you stay as whatever little example or whatever you can invoke of the forces of the Mother. So you don't say like a superior, look down upon these people. The true divine compassion, which is the total comprehension that each one is what he must be. So you see, when you look at Sri Aurobindo, at one point, Sri Aurobindo was asked, how do you with your supramental vision look at his humanity? Yes, slipped off from the tongue, but the Lord slipped. Well, like human beings look at cats and dogs. End of the story. The Mother once spoke, the other day I was talking, about Auroville. It's in 71, one of her writings. But she's laughing and saying this. She's not serious, these people. She said they are breeding there like cats. So she's laughing, she's saying, I told them, they come to the ashram to breed and I tell them, no, ashram is not the place, go there. Then they go to the hospital. She's laughing and explaining. She not see they come here and do this kind of a thing. No. He understands human nature with all its different sides and shades. And that brings a new understanding of the difference between ashram and Auroville. So you'll see in Auroville as kind of humanity striving towards a superior humanity, which is further moving in that direction. There's family and all these things are part of it. But in the ashram is a lot more concentrated effort, and that's why it creates a lot more inner struggle and difficulties, because the pressure is tremendous. You're right next to the main Yagyavedi, Havan Kund. And what do you do in a Havan Kund? Don't give bits and parts. There is no other. This is something which long back I just understood. I say, I'm giving in bits and parts. I say, what is the point? Ultimately, it is paining and it is also giving joy. Okay, once for all. And then once you do it and the divine says yes, divine has to accept. It's not a mental decision, oh, I give myself to you. It doesn't work like that. That's why Mother says, if you come to the divine and say, I am yours, and the divine says yes, then the whole world cannot keep you away from him. This what I have seen. You have to say, take me, I am yours. One day she'll say, okay, come. Then nothing and nobody can stick to you. I mean, people may outwardly, of course, remain, they remain, but nothing can, because you just cannot. You belong to the divine, and only what the divine allows and what the divine permits, and for whatever time the divine allows, that much will be there. All else is taken away, and no one has to be ready for that. So, this is how she describes very beautifully. But it was so soothing, so sweet, so wonderful, this vision, each thing expressing its kind quite naturally. So this was, I felt, a very important subject, so we should read it in detail. Jai Ma.